Statement, it goes back to what Kaitlin just said. We're 1-0. I think there's some moments in there that we had some struggles. And the only piece that I'm really disappointed with that piece of it, and these young women can tell you, is during the timeout, we were really clear on what it is that they were going to do. And we just had a difficult time following through with our game plan regarding getting stops and them doing a good job getting the ball inside the 35, and Patrice, who's a good player for them, and knowing that they needed to get to the free throw line, which is they're excellent at the free throw line, in order to get that clock to stop and allow them to gain points. But the converse piece of it is true. I think we found some pockets where we could get after him, come up with some good rebounds, and come down the stretch there and knock down free throws, which was critical for us.
It looked like once they started working the ball inside, they really made a run on you guys. Defensively, they kind of locked down as well. How do you guys, being an undersized team with Kaitlin or Erica having to guard somebody that's probably bigger than them in the paint, how do you guys look to combat that? When they start going into play?
So clearly understanding that was going to be one of our struggles all year is this: we're undersized, whether it be rebounding or be able to defend inside in the paint against teams that are good. For sure, we talked a lot about this particular game plan having ball pressure. I mean, there's multiple ways that you can defend when you're smaller. You can press the entire game, get people go up and down. You can pressure the heck out of the ball and hopes that'll make it really difficult for them to get good looks inside. You can double team off of players who aren't really strong, right, to get them to turn the ball over, to give the ball up. There's different schemes that you have, but for this particular scout, we went with pressure the ball. Just pressure the ball. Don't let them get any great high-low looks. And what we found was they got a lot of good looks inside, really, from the wings. So we talked at halftime with our guards, you guys have to do a better job, not only pressuring the ball from the wings, but doing a good job of being in deep help, so they don't get those easy looks. Still understanding that, yes, we are smaller and undersized. And it came a point, too, during a short break where I told Kate, where I knew Erica May was just getting tired, I said, Kate, you know what, this particular player, you're going to double off of her right now. And it isn't anything that we've practiced a lot, but it's another option that we'll be able to utilize. I think people are going to understand that if you've got size, one of the things that people are going to do is try to pound the ball inside to get us going, but we cannot fall asleep, and that was the key. We cannot get tired and fatigued. This team does a great job of just running that clock. They do a good job of moving the clock.
I noticed, looking at them throughout the season, one thing they kind of do really well is three-point defense. I noticed that Georgia shot pretty poorly, but even games that they lost, teams have shot poorly from three. You guys started out 4 of 7 from three, and then I believe there was a point where you guys were 1 for 14.
Yeah.
Was there anything that changed, or was it some just looks that you guys were missing?
I think Raven missed a couple there in a row, but like most shooters do, she came in, and she came back in with an ankle injury and hit one. Honestly, with the exception of maybe one of our threes, all those threes are good looks that our kids can hit. They all know they have the green light as long as it's in flow, and the majority of those shots honestly were in flow. But some of those mid-range jumpers that I struggled with, I thought that weren't in flow for our kids. But as far as the three ball goes, they just missed some shots.
I want to touch on the three that you mentioned, and Kaitlin mentioned when you guys walked in. Obviously, Raven got hurt earlier in the game, and she comes back in on the very first possession. She comes in, knocks a three with just under a minute to go, puts you up by 4 instead of being up by 1.
Right.
How big is that, and how resilient is that from her?
Well, it's a huge shot, and what I appreciate the most is Raven's matured quite a bit as a basketball player, which is what you want in seniors. And I told her, what did I tell you when you went in?
Defense first.
Yes, defense over offense. I said defense over offense. Don't worry about anything else. Not only does it take pressure off her, but she clearly understands my goal and my role when I go in this game is I've got to do a great job defensively for this team. And when my teammates hit me, my job is to knock down the shots. And they do a good job of looking for, honestly, both these young women because they're great outside shooters.
Kaitlin, just talk about that start you guys had, and then kind of like the cold streak you guys had in the middle. How do you minimize that going in the future?
This defense, like like she always says, defense is our main priority because every team's going to go through a cold streak. No matter how good a great shooting team you are, you're going to have a time where you're not hitting. So in those times, you have to pick up your defense in order to slow down the hurt of the offense not scoring. But we found a way, and just like we did, I think we picked up our defense there in the end and found a way to win, which is important.
Raven, talk about that three, coming in. Obviously, defense was your priority first, but coming in when the offense is kind of slow and then hitting that big bucket to kind of put the game away where they're kind of just fouling you guys in the end.
Well, first of all, I'm a shooter, so when I missed, like Coach G said, those in a couple in a row, I wasn't thinking about those anymore. I was just focused on getting my team like the lead, which I mean that 3 helped out a lot. And I didn't really realize when I shot the ball, I knew it was gonna go in, but you know I just hoped it did, because if I missed that shot, I just knew Coach U was gonna be like, "God dang it, right?"
No, I wasn't. You've been shooting well, Raven.
You guys had 3 girls in double digits tonight. So can you speak to, like Kaitlin said in the past, that it could be anyone's given night, so just whoever's open is the one that has to make the shot. Can you talk about how important that is for your team moving forward?
I think it's important because it makes you more difficult to scout. I think any time as a coach goes through scouting, the one thing you want to try to figure out is ways to get a team stopped, right? You're taking a look at what you can do defensively to get them stopped. And so when there's teams that have, 3 or 4 different scorers, or anybody that can get hot anytime, or anyone that plays a particular role with an offense, it's really important that you figure out a way to stifle them. And so I think that's what makes it tough. Is there going to be certain games where certain kids are going to put up double digits, and somebody, for example, Taylor Deere right now is going through a little bit of a lull, but I think she's also that kid who's going to come back next game and get you 25. And I think coaches understand that. It's more difficult sometimes to get your players to understand, and that's probably what keeps people on their toes right now with us, which is really nice.
How important is it to get that first conference win out of the way?
Kids know it was everything. I put down there, that was our last key down there. It was our last key. For sure. Yep. We talked, they have 4 pillars at our senior set. We talked about responsibility. We talked about respect, hard work, and determination. And my determination was more of a challenge to them to be determined to start out 1-0 in Sun Belt Conference play. Because truly, people picked this team 6th place, and that's knowing that Aaron Peoples at the time was still playing. And I'm all right with playing a little bit of a chip on our shoulder, because I think these kids have worked really hard in the preseason. I think they've shown that in their play, and we're going to continue to learn and grow at this point. But that was really important for us, regardless of who it was, that we started out 1-0.